Welcome, welcome. And let me go ahead and share my screen. Fantastic. Can everyone see where we're at here and taking advantage of the generation gap, how YPP adds value to your organization? Are we good panelists? Give me a thumbs up on stuff. All right, outstanding, outstanding. All right, well, I can't see you guys now, so if something glitches, let me know. But as I said, I'm Deb Kalidas. I am the marketing communication coordinator from PODS. We didn't do anything with Monique. It's not that she is not here because she doesn't love you, but I got to take over this week with our awesome relationship with YPP because PODS now is moving forward with more young professional initiatives, and we wanted to make it loud and clear. This is not in competition with any other young professional program out there, but specifically YPP is such awesome friends of ours that we want to make sure that we had a chance to shout it from the rooftops of everything that we've got going on. So let's go through some different things of course, an agenda and safety moment. It's spring. I don't know who cleans. Who cleans, right? Is that something we're supposed to do? But yes, I make sure in our house, huge is that test smoke detectors, making sure those fire extinguishers are not only in place, but are working. Carbon monoxide, huge thing, especially if you don't do any indoor grilling. Please don't do that. You know, family emergency plans are huge. I have college kids and they're not home, but we still have an emergency plan together. And you can see a list of different things as suggestions. And outside, oh my goodness, especially up here in the north, when you've turned off faucets or you're cleaning out different places, you never know what kind of things may occur in different places. So please make sure you have your spring cleaning safety checklist ready to go. Take a screenshot and we'll be in good shape. So here's what's going to happen today. We're going to do a panel and introduction of what's going on. You're going to get to know what is YPP and who do you need to know, why membership to YPP is impactful and your professionals, your company, everyone else around you. Then we're going to clear through some misconceptions of young professionals and the needs in the workplace. And then last but not least, the pod support of young professionals and all that we do, including scholarships and opportunities. And if you're a participant, look at that chat and question opportunity. I'll be monitoring that today. So if you have anything, please pop it in there at any time. And then I'll know the right placement to be able to bring that forth. And we'll be in good shape. So here's about PODS, right? Tad, could you do like a quick brief explanation of who PODS is and why is it so important that we're out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So PODS has been around for about 25 years now. We were celebrating our 25th anniversary. I guess effectively it was last year.
Yeah.
Maybe we're at 25 and a half, right? We'll say that. But basically, it's a nonprofit organization that is a group of both operators and vendors that have come together and kind of said, hey, here's maybe the best practice for how to store pipeline data. We have been primarily focused here in the States because of this extensive network here in the United States, but have recently started really expanding internationally because there's pipelines internationally, right? So not just here. Yeah, we look at how to store all kinds of pipeline information, corrosion control data, integrity data, regulatory compliance, all of that type of stuff in a standardized fashion. And basically, as a nonprofit, we work with a lot of, or we don't work with, but most of, actually not most, all of our members are non-paid and volunteers. And so we have a bunch of different committees that's formed to kind of help guide and direct future activities and builds and improvements to the programs. So volunteers are always welcome.
And Tad, if someone's thinking of joining PODS, what would you tell them?
I would say you should not be thinking about it. You should have already done it, is the first thing. But the next thing is feel free to go to the website, reach out to any of the board members, Tori, myself, Deb, definitely Monique. She'd be really interested in talking. And that would kind of be your next steps, to reach out and to see how to join. There's different tiers depending on the type of operator. So definitely fits the needs of every organization out there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to do a quick plug also for our LinkedIn. If you have any questions about what is happening, not only with PODS, but just generally in the pipeline data safety industry, definitely be following us there as we love our LinkedIn community of who we have. So now PODS data model benefits. Tori, is this something that you can walk us through and just why it's so important for the PODS data model to be in existence?
Yeah, I mean, it's compatible with a lot of different environments that we all utilize today. Of course, Esri. It fits a lot of operators' data structure and how we kind of maintain our information, and we're continuously improving it. So that's really awesome, like we talked about with the groups. And it covers all of those new regulations that are coming out. We're always improving upon the items within the data model so that we can abide by those rulings and submit that information to those various regulatory agencies. And of course, we are that pipe-centric model and environment just to keep our assets in line and all that data that attaches to it.
Yeah, awesome. And I know right now, I mean, there's releases that are in the pipeline, no pun intended, that is going to make 2024 a pretty outstanding, stellar year in all that's happening. All right. Okay. We're heading to our first poll question. There's going to be 3 poll questions today, and this is a chance for those that are listening and watching in to participate, but also for us to understand kind of where you're at in your background with things. So poll question number 1, what do you know about Young Pipeline Professionals USA? And I'm very purposely asking this before we introduce our panelists, because then they can begin to kind of address the audience and where everybody knows. So let me go ahead, and this is my first time launching a poll. It's very exciting. So what we've got, what do we know? Here we go. All right. So I'm going to launch the poll there. All right. Everybody see it A-okay? So as an attendee, please. All right, good. Answers are coming in. We'll leave it for another moment or 2. Awesome. Things like that. Tori, when did you learn about YPP in your professional just adventure?
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard about it for quite some time. It did honestly take me a little bit longer than I should have to join because of all the great benefits that it has. But I learned about it maybe on LinkedIn. Or maybe even a coworker who was part of YPP.
That's great. Yeah, well, good. So it's out there. So all right, here we go. So we got 50% of people, tons. I'm a member. Well, welcome YPP members. We're so excited you're here. I know about it, but not engaged. I've seen their logo. And all right, so everyone here has had some exposure or another. So that's fantastic. So let's do this. Let's get to, let's see here. All right, our welcome panel, which is wonderful. So Tori, go ahead and please introduce yourself of all your greatness and then pass it on down the line.
So yes, I'm Tori Metz. I am a GIS supervisor at now Phillips 66. I was part of DCP, and I am a PODS board member. And YPP, I'm excited about this today. It has so many great opportunities and benefits for you guys to hear about.
Go for it, Tad.
Yeah, I was going to say, sounds like I'm next. So my name is Tad Nowicki. I'm a senior compliance consultant, or Rosen, well, I guess I say the senior compliance consultant. There's only one of me at Rosen. So we're an inline inspection company primarily, but really focused on a lot of end-to-end pipeline asset integrity, as well as facilities and some other things like that. Yeah, been at Rosen now for about 5 years. So that's me.
Wonderful. So glad you're here. And Blake.
Sure. Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Blake Villarubia. I'm a pipeline project manager with Audubon Engineering. We're an EPC firm servicing oil and gas and other industries now as well. I've been in the industry probably about 10 years now, a little over 10 years. And I initially got involved with YPP in 2019, similar to Tori. Actually found out about it through a coworker. One of the VPs of our organization encouraged us to go to the symposium, fell in love with it, became a member, and been involved ever since. In participated in several different leadership roles, and now I find myself as the YPP industry chair. So excited to share some information with you today.
Awesome. And last but not least, of course.
All right, thank you, Deb. My name is Kaushal Shah. I'm a senior project manager at ICF. What do I do on a day-to-day basis changes a lot because most of my work is independent engineering work where people are financing big oil and gas projects and they want to figure out if the financing will work or not, as well as providing owners advisory services for developing hydrogen, pipeline, gas, solar projects. But how did I get into YPP USA? It's a great story. I lived up in Massachusetts, which is not the biggest pipeline industry supporter. So I was really interested in building a career in the pipeline industry and ran into YPP, I think 2016, a year after we were started. And that's how I got engaged and have been part of it ever since. It's a fantastic organization. I always encourage everyone to just leverage it to build their career. So YPP USA is amazing. So yeah, it's been very helpful for my career.
Awesome. All right. So fantastic. Well, let's dig in. All right, next poll. How significant do you feel the impact of a generation gap is in your organization? So this is kind of a spectrum. 1, your organization works well and closes the gap. 2, there is a gap and we are actively working to close it within your organization, of course. 3, there's different strengths and needs based on our years, but okay. Or number 4, ooh, you're like oil and water. We've all been in those kind of positions. So let me launch the poll. All right, there we go. So let's let the answers. I always feel like this is a game show moment. What is that game show where you like watch the percentages, come in on things like that? I'm trying to think. All right, got answers coming in. That's great. The numbers. All right, let me go ahead. I'm going to close the poll, share the results. All right. So, all right, we've got 33% working well. Okay, well, this is really like spread out. This is interesting to see enough, the oil and water. All right, well, hopefully we can begin to provide some resources today of what's going on. So great, well, we'll speak to everything in its entirety. All right, take it away.
All right, well, now we're going to share some information on YPP with everybody, because if you walk out of this without knowing what YPP is, we didn't do our job right. So it's our job to share with you what YPP is, what we're all about, what you can get out of it. And hopefully at the end of this, if you aren't a member of YPP or actively engaged, you'll want to be a member and get engaged with both YPP and PODS. So similar to PODS, YPP is also a nonprofit organization. So everyone that runs YPP, Kaushal and myself, all of our members, we all have day jobs. So it's all sweat equity is essentially what we build into the organization. And interestingly, YPP isn't alone. They're actually one of 11 organizations globally overseen by an overarching umbrella organization, Young Professionals International. So there's in Americas, pretty much every continent, we have young professional organizations. So there is a global presence, but YPP USA was the 3rd organization founded of the 11 in 2015 after Australia and Canada. And actually when YPP USA was founded, YPI, the umbrella organization, was also founded. But since 2015, we've seen some steady growth. Actually, within the last 2 or 3 years, it's been more like exponential growth. When I joined YPP in 2019, we were about 200 members. You can see there on the slide, we're over 800 now. Our leadership has grown with our membership, which means there's more leadership opportunities for folks joining in. Our overall reach within the industry has grown as well. We're growing the number of industry organizations working with, just like great organizations like PODS. We have an annual symposium now, et cetera. So all of our offerings are growing as our membership base grows as well. So we're represented almost nationally. We have 38 states that were represented, including Alaska. So that was pretty neat to have some members over there in Alaska. But not only we represent all areas of the US, but we also represent all different assets of the industry, not just engineering, not just operations folks, not just integrity folks, but we do want to see more membership in the GIS space. right? So we find that that's a really crucial part of our industry, and we want our membership to represent that part of the industry as well. So we are looking to grow in that part. But really, what YPP is, we're a group of industry young professionals. Yes, there is a definitive requirement for a young professional. In our bylaws, it states you have to be 35 years or younger. But really, that is only one of two barriers to join YPP USA. The other one is you have to be in the pipeline industry or even pipeline industry adjacent. It's kind of flexible. So you really have no excuse not to be part of YPP. The best thing is it's absolutely free to join. I love that. They implemented that after 2019, after I joined, so it's kind of questionable, but they got only 1 year's membership dues out of me, but it's been free since about mid of 2019. But what we really focus on is not social events or other things like you know, young pipeliners do in Houston. Although those are great organizations, we really focus on educational content for our members, career growth opportunities for our members. So that's really what our key focus is. We want to usher in the next level of leadership into the industry by propping up those young professionals that have the ambitions to do so, and YPP is the platform to do it. So we'll jump over to the next slide here now, if you don't mind, Deb. So on this slide, we're going to define a little bit of the benefits that any young professional will receive when they join YPP, but not only when you join, but when you get involved, because it's one of those organizations that you're going to get the most out of it by how much you put into it. So the more you put in, the more you'll get out. So really, I kind of categorize our offerings under two different things. One is career development, one's personal development. Career development is trainings, right? We have a pool of SMEs that we go to that provide us monthly webinars, in-person bridge workshops for smaller, more intimate setting discussions. Typically, those are in Houston because most of our membership base is based out of the Houston area. We have an annual symposium. That one has been in Houston in the past. We are considering moving it to different locations, but it'll likely be in Houston for the next few years. And then additionally, there's also opportunities for on-demand trainings like program discounts that we partner with Rosen on their Confidence Club, or discounts to SGA trainings or other organizations that provide trainings like PRCI as well. So plenty of training opportunities. If your company doesn't provide you training, YPP will. We'll have something available for you to pique your interest, because there's a variety of technical topics as well as soft skill topics. I put business experience on there, and this is something that Kaush and I has talked about a lot since we've joined kind of the upper echelon of the leadership of YPP. But honestly, it's like running a business. So you can show your employer that you have business experience because you've run YPP USA, a nonprofit business, but we still have to do taxes. We still have employees, right? That's even more, it's harder to work with some folks sometimes when you don't have any direct responsibility for them because they're not an employer of YPP. So, but in addition to career development, you also get some hands-on experience because we do like site visits, on-site visits for different steel mills, for testing facilities, for active construction projects. So you will get field experience or real life experience as well. On the personal development side, we do have socials. We try to do a social in each of our local chapters once a quarter. Our local chapters are in Atlanta, Tulsa, Columbus, and Houston. We also try to have a presence at most of the prominent industry conferences like PPIM or the PRCI Research Exchange, IPC in DC, all those bigger pipeline conferences. We will have a YPP presence there, and we often have a YPP booth as well. Leadership opportunities of just getting involved, right? You learn crucial leadership skills, and we partner with companies like SGA who provide leadership training for us for free. And then also, we want YPP to almost be a conduit for folks to get involved in industry and other places, right? Once you age out of YPP and you no longer become a young professional, what are you going to do next, right? You've built all of this network, you've built your career on the things you've done in YPP and your normal job, but we don't want the buck to stop there. So what YPP is doing is partnering with these other industry organizations to get you involved while you're in YPP with those organizations. That way, when you age out of YPP, you're already plugged into the Inga Foundation or SGA, PRCI, ASME, API, right? All the acronyms. So we feel like that's important to keep you committed to the industry and really just be a good person, be a good steward for your industry.
Hey,
So
Blake,
moving on to the next slide, unless there was anything, Deb, you wanted to touch on that one?
No, this is great. And again, Tori, Tad, hop in at any time of comments as well.
Deb, can I just bring one point up real quick as well? One thing that I just want to correlate to everyone just from my experience in YPP, all these are fantastic ways to build your career, but what YPP has done for me is anytime I have a problem at work related to pipelines and I don't know what the solution is because my experience doesn't reflect it previously, I have a network of people I can call, right? Even with pods. Now, next time I run into a GIS problem, I'm gonna connect with people through pods. And it was maybe a year ago, I was working on an engagement and I picked up the phone and I called a prominent industry leader through YPP board connections who could give me an answer to a pipe integrity question, because I'm not an integrity professional, so I just don't know the answer. And relying on that network has not only helped me solidify my career in the industry, but also my management sees that as an additional, benchmark for them to look against compared to like every other employee out there. So really use YPP as a way to leverage your future growth in the career, because I really think there's a lot of moves there that you can take advantage of. Like Blake said, I want to really echo what you get out of it is it's what you put in. So everything's out there. It's just, and then pick up the phone, call us. I think my number is very publicly listed. Blake is always willing to respond to an email. Call us, text us. If you're like, hey, I need to know, I'm going to the field in a few weeks and I would love to learn about something before I show up there, we'll find a resource to help you get trained up too. So we're very accommodative that way. Sorry, just wanted to cover that.
No, thanks for adding that, because I think that's something about professional organizations that, especially those who are maybe introverted personalities, are like, oh, these are a bunch of people that already know each other, or, oh, I have to be outgoing to be a part of things. And it's definitely that moment of you join organizations because you want to learn things, but you also want to be there and, help that process of others in learning. So yes, why is membership and support important for companies? I think that's a great transition.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks for all those additions, Kaushal. I totally agree with what you said there. So now we're going to talk about what benefits companies are going to get, because if you want to get involved in YPP, there may be some hours involved with webinars during the week or traveling for our symposium, right? So your company is going to be clued in to your involvement, but it's really easy to see the benefits that YPP will bring company for having their young professionals involved, and really having those professionals in a young professional organization like YPP. It shows other folks that company is committed to their employees, right? So it's going to help them attract young talent. It's going to help them retain young talent, because folks want to join. I'm having another session in April where we're having a panel discussion on retaining high value young professionals. And essentially, young professionals these days, they want to see that commitment from their companies to their career development, right? So it's important for companies to show that commitment, and YPP is the low-hanging fruit that companies can use to show their young professionals that they're committed to their career developments. And not only is it helping them attain and attract, but when they see those young professionals that have that ambition, to have that drive to go the extra mile, they could encourage their participation in YPP, because they know they're going to get some leadership development and technical training that will help generate the next level of leader within their organization. That's not only helping their company, but it's helping the industry too. Like, who doesn't want to help the industry and the company at the same time? So really, like, to summarize what's good for companies here, is it's really about making sure that you make a committed effort to show that you're young professionals, that you're tied to their career, right? And YPP, with all their offerings, the fact that it's free, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, and I'd like to just interrupt real quick and kind of echo that sentiment, right? So being at Rosen, I know we have partnered with YPP before, and we definitely encourage our young engineers and analysts and specialists that all come into the organization to encourage them to go join this organization because we see significant growth in those individuals that have gone through this program. And I like to maybe attribute that to YPP itself, right? I mean, maybe it's a little bit of personal as well, but YPP is definitely, I've taken some feedback from those individuals, and every single one of them said, man, YPP has provided me with connections and mentorships, and I'm really, really glad that you guys encouraged us to do these types of things.
That's great to hear. Yeah, always good to hear some great feedback. All right, I think we're ready to move on to the next slide. So here we're going to kind of shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about what the misconceptions of young professionals are in the workplace, and really how you as a young professional could work towards combating those misconceptions, and how actually YPP helps tie into that. Right. So if you Google misconceptions of young professionals, you'll see these as the top 4, which was ironic because I came up with these when I was, developing this bullet point list, and then I went back and researched it, and I was like, wow, I got 4 right. And that just shows how prominent these are in the workplace, right? I'm not that good of a guesser. I'm not that smart, believe me. That's just how it is these days in the workplace. These are the misconceptions of young professionals. So the most common one is that a job is just a job to them. They don't care about commitment. They don't care about, staying at one organization. They jump from one to the other. And while that does happen a lot, I do think that there's a way to combat that, and it really speaks to what you get out of YPP, because coming back to what organizations get through sending their young professionals into YPP is, they're showing a commitment to their young professionals. Well, you'll learn as a young professional what that commitment means going back the other way. Because if your company is giving you something, you're going to want to give something as well, right? There's going to be give and take both ways. So when companies show that commitment and professionals show that commitment, everyone benefits that way. Really, the next biggest one is that young professionals are lazy. They want to just plug things into a spreadsheet or a program and let that do the work. In reality, that's not true. When you think about it, young professionals grew up in the YouTube age. They're used to going out, looking at YouTube on how to change a tire, learn it themselves rather than, trying to be taught by their dad or a mentor of theirs. So I'll argue that they're not lazy, they're just not being challenged enough. And that's what you learn in YPP. You'll learn how to challenge yourself by taking on this extra commitment that Kelsh and I know we have a second job that we're committed to. But you learn a skill on how to challenge yourself and how to kind of question everything and be curious throughout your job. And guess what? That'll show your employer, your boss, that you're not lazy, and you're going to beat that stigma that young professionals have. Another one is that they don't care about salary. I would argue to say, they only care about salary. I would argue to say that that's somewhat true, but really, from some research and discussions I've had with all the folks in YPP and my colleagues as well, I find that there are things over salary that young professionals care about, and mainly it's mentorship, it's growth, it's technical training. Because as a young professional, we grew up with the anticipation of getting fast career progression, but that doesn't always happen in our industry. So when you're making these strides to improve yourself and you're not getting promoted and salary bumps, it's a real detrimental thing to your ego, and that's something that YPP works to combat by giving them an alternate method of satisfaction, right, with accomplishing a certain task or working with young professionals a certain task, or even if you have a question on, you know, certain career development or discussion that you want to have with your boss about a promotion or about a different job opportunity within your own company, you know, reach out to someone with YPP and you can have those candid conversations. So it could really help you beat that stigma as well. And finally, it will help you get ready for the workplace. That we do have college members as well, and we're, you know, trying to bring in more student members to help train them up, prepare them for the workplace. But even new folks to the industry, even if you're 34, technically, if you're 35 and you join YPP, you can be a member for 5 years because there's a 5-year grace period from the day that you join. So even if you're joining the industry at 35, join YPP because we'll help you get adequated into the industry. So I think we're going to toss it over to Kaushal now to talk about the misconceptions of seasoned professionals. So Kaushal, take it away.
Thank you, Blake. I mean, I wish we had a poll that said how many are seasoned professionals or young professionals now that I'm looking back, but I hope we've not insulted either group at all. We just really want to break the glass ceiling and talk about it honestly and see what we can do to help each other as groups, right? So some of the, and this, a lot of this is very prevalent for people, you know, young professionals like myself and Blake. And one of the key things is that we think that seasoned professionals may be a little complacent and scared of change, more specifically. I think that's maybe a little fair, but there's an age gap there. I think our younger generation, myself included, we've adapted faster to change. I mean, I still remember going from, you know, dial-up to DSL to now whatever, you know, 5G internet, right? In a span of just high school or in college. So we've had to adapt really quick. Change is difficult. I think as young professionals, we need to encourage change, work with seasoned professionals to, you know, work through any challenges they may have, and understand their perspective of why that change may or may not be beneficial. Again, we work in the pipeline industry. We want to make sure any change is deployed, tested, thought about very diligently before it's just, we're not a tech industry company, right? So we want to make sure when we make change, lives are at risk. So that push and pull between generations, I think, is actually very productive related to change. So that's kind of where I want to leave that. But, you know, I think that push and pull process will really implement best practices. So I encourage everyone to adapt change within their organizations, encourage that change, and then really work with seasoned professionals to help them adapt to it as well. The second part of it is reluctant. We've seen a lot of seasoned professionals that are reluctant to encourage involvement, not just within YPP or just other organizations, right? It's, hey, you come, you work. I've heard this many times in my career. You want to get a promotion, come and work 20% harder than you did last year. I mean, I think a lot of people probably have, right? Just to echo what Blake said, you know, that's again the push and pull between, you know, I've only worked at 2 organizations. Blake, I think you've worked at 1 or 2, maybe 2 organizations. Yeah. If I started asking around, you'd be surprised how many people have been around. I mean, Tori, not to put you on the spot, how many organizations have you been at? 1, and Tad? 2. So we are right here. Maybe our sample set is very specific, but the sample set breaks that misconception right there, right? Do I know people that have changed a job every year? I've been in the industry since 2012. Yes, I do know that. I also know people like us on the team here that have stayed at the same job. So losing talent is something I really want to help kind of bring a lot of light to. We are losing talent, not just from a seasoned professional, young professional perspective, but we see the stats at YPP USA. We're losing talent from our industry to another industry. So I think that conversation really needs to happen fast. It needs to be very productive to kind of make sure we just don't lose talent within the industry and within the organization, because we produce such good talent as an industry that other industries are also competing for our same talent. So that is something we need to kind of break the glass ceiling there. The second part is distractions from the job. I think some of the seasoned professionals think us young professionals are doing too much outside of the workplace that may be impacting our ability to perform at work. And I don't think that's true. I think we're really trying to find our calling more than figuring it out a little bit after 10, 12 years. I think young professionals today, I see a lot of that passion in the early 20s members that we have. They really want to know that what they're doing makes an impact. And they will seek out organizations like YPP USA, like ASME, so that what one person calls a distraction, I call commitment to fostering, growth within their career. And we love that, right? At YPP USA, I love seeing someone coming in at 21, year one in the industry, and I've seen them go and become key members within our leadership 4 years later. And then even, move on to doing great things at other organizations like ASME or API. One thing I do want to say that we are not, as YPP USA, a job posting company. So we don't encourage every event we have. We are very clear that we encourage all industry participants to help us, sponsor us, grow with us. But our job, a lot of people, seasoned professionals, think that if I send my young professional to a YPP event, they'll find another job. I challenge that thinking because we encourage everyone to say that this is not a job posting portal, right? We're not here to encourage you to switch from one operator to another operator. And if the operator is doing everything right, trust me, you're not going to lose young talent. They're going to want to be part of YPP USA. They'll understand it very clearly that you're here for education and learning, and that if it was going to happen, it was going to happen anyways, but we will make sure that we put some sort of restrictions to allow that doesn't happen at all. So none of our newsletters, you'll see any job postings. Our member information is kept very private. We take it very seriously, and we don't share that with anyone. The last part is something I've definitely heard, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Sorry, Deb, is reluctance to share knowledge. Young professionals think that seasoned professionals don't want to share knowledge. I think that's a communication gap and a communication barrier. Every time I've gone to a seasoned professional within YPP or just generally in the industry, they have been more than willing to share their knowledge with me. I don't think anyone's ever said, no, I'm not going to tell you this because I don't want to teach you. I have never heard those words. So we are using the platform of YPP USA to have mentorship. We have our own mentorship program. We also have, there's an Inga Foundation membership program. I love to put that plug in there. I know other organizations have mentorship programs. We are creating a conduit of different mentorship programs to help foster that cross collaboration. Now, is a seasoned professional gonna be too busy to teach you in that exact moment you need help? Yes, but we encourage that you build that relationship. You ask them for networking. You give them heads up that I want to learn how to do, I'm going to make up something, how to do a valuation of a pipeline company that's changing gas rates over the next 5 years and blending hydrogen. They're not going to be able to teach you that minute, but I promise you, if you build that relationship, or you're proactive about it and say, can I please take you out for lunch? Or, hey, I'm going to this symposium for YPP USA. I think you'll be a great speaker, and then give that person's name. If it's a two-way relationship, they will work with you, they will teach you, and they'll make sure you're well positioned in the industry. Anything else, Blake, you want to add? I feel like I kind of hit a couple of points. I want to make sure we stay focused. Did I cover what you were thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you covered it well there. What I like about our mentorship program is that it's a yearly program, but you're really building a relationship for that person to be your mentor for the rest of your career, right?
Yeah.
So you're working with usually like VP level folks or higher that we get into our mentorship program. There is some middle management or folks that may have aged out that are coming back to be in the YPP mentorship program, which is great. That's what we encourage you to do. I plan on doing that when I age out. But you're building that relationship, and to me, the network that I've built within YPP is probably the most valuable thing I've gotten out of it.
I want to really emphasize one key point. I don't think people started realizing how seriously I took my career in the pipeline industry until they saw a significant impact I made in YPP, right? I think as I grew within YPP, my management at my previous job and industry people started noticing that this person really does care. So then they are less reluctant to say no when you ask for help, right? You've built that credibility. So I wanna go back to our members, right? Everyone here knows YPP USA. That's great. So just think of that at the back of your head, right? I typically make a list of all the people I want to connect with that I know that are industry professionals that I want to learn from, right? I may not hear from them day one, but through YPP, I get access to a lot of different forums and conferences that I can attend for free that before I couldn't. And I may see them there, and if I do, at least I'm building that relationship. You'd be surprised what seasoned professionals have to offer. They are the most generous knowledge givers out there. All right, Deb, I'm going to hand it back to you, I think. So
No, I love that. No, such a great conversation of it all. And, for me coming from the outside in, because upon coming to PODS, I was like, PODS, the storage unit, which it definitely is not. And that has been so beautifully and wonderfully overwhelming to see that I have not seen any other group of individuals focused on such a worthwhile objective in their day-to-day work want to continually support one another at all levels. And so that's something I think that YPP sets the standard for, as you're coming in, and then, get involved in PODS as quickly as possible. And it can extend throughout your entire career, because it's pretty amazing how a LinkedIn connection, all of a sudden, as you see them through the years, at different trade shows and things like that, you get to know them. And it's just very fulfilling in that way. So I love it. We're doing great on time here, but it is time for poll question number 3. So what has been the most helpful tool for your career development? So self-learning through technical trainings, internal company development programs, networking and attending professional organization events, or mentorship. So let me launch the poll here. And we'll launch it. I know for me, with my age, because if I was trying to join YPP, I would have aged out already, but very proudly, is that self-learning through technical trainings isn't even something that was around, 2 decades ago, or even then so until, YouTube and other applications and things are really getting going. So that's definitely a generational opportunity. Self-learning was learning the card catalog or, the trade magazine that you could find and get with things. So, all right, we've got some poll requests coming in. I think, oh, all right, we've got some very direct answers here. So I'll share the result. Look at that. Blake, do you want to interpret this for us, of just from your experience of in where you are and in your path as a young professional?
Sure. Yeah, I find it interesting that no one selected a mentorship or internal company development program. So this definitely is good information to have. And honestly, it kind of echoes what I was just saying on what I get most out of YPP is my network and being able to attend these professional organization events and get more exposure to the industry. So I find it refreshing that it looks like some other folks see that as a helpful tool as well. So hopefully my comment there didn't impact folks' responses to the poll here, but I think it just speaks to the value of YPP. Then if folks are seeing that, that's a helpful tool for your career development, then that's great, because that's what YPP is really good at, right? Is networking. You build your network through these social events, through the leadership group that you work with on a weekly basis. So it's great to see that folks are seeing an impact from that, and that's one of the core values of YPP too, so it aligns well.
Tad, quick question for you before we go on the next slide. So with mentorship being at 0% here, and again, it's just the collection of individuals here, do you think that mentorship has to be that traditional model of, oh, this is the one person that's going to lead me through? Or can mentorship be a collection of individuals who are experts in different ways that then that they're, on your cheerleading squad when you need those moments?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I guess traditionally for me, I've always looked at mentorship as a one-to-one thing. And then the collective group is maybe the network that you have. And not that they can't provide, that larger network can't provide a little bit of mentorship in very concise situations. But I do personally feel that the mentorship is a one-to-one relationship, because a lot of times in those mentorship, there's conversations that are had that aren't necessarily easy, or they're sometimes uncomfortable, and that relationship is really critical for that.
Ooh, do you mean accountability, Tad? Oh man.
Yeah, I would ask
Right?
accountability. Yeah, that's a great word. I did not purposely think of that. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. So, all right, let's move ahead here. What working together should be like within what we're calling the generation gap?
All right, thanks, Deb. So it's all about supporting one another. I think everyone can do a better job recognizing where they sit in the ecosystem, right? More recently, I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little old when someone did exactly what I wanted to do as a code, and I was like, I don't code that well, so I couldn't make a script to do 4 hours of work in 20 minutes. So you know, I hate putting it in a, and I hate's a strong word, sorry. I'm not a big fan of saying plus 35, minus 35, right? Because that's not a true statement. I think everyone is evolving at their pace, and we need to, there's always opportunity to share knowledge and learn. And in our mentorship program, I think one of the key things we're doing now at YPP USA is the pull and push, where young professionals are pushing knowledge back to our mentors. And when we select pairings, we try to be intentional about that, because we know our mentors also want to learn from their mentees. And I think we should adapt that sort of a relationship across the board, right? We should all embrace our shortcomings and where we can get better and learn from each other. It doesn't matter if you're plus 35, minus 35, or young professional, seasoned professional. And then we should really show that through commitment of action, right? Like YPP USA is committed to grow. We're here partnering with PODS. We see PODS as an amazing partner because they see the gap as well, where they want to, we all need to have a new influx of members coming in to make sure our organizations stay relevant, or else they're going to start getting stale faster than we think, because the new members are what keeps everything alive and relevant to that industry and that generation. So how does YPP facilitate this? I think Blake's already covered a lot of this, but I do want to, we've talked about mentorship and we talked about career development, but I really want to talk about business experience. One thing, when you join YPP, as you start as a work group member, work group lead, and go up the leadership chain, I think you will get a tremendous business experience. You'll be managing teams of members, teams of leaders within the organization. You'll have accountability on tasks. And the one thing is, there is an SOP, there's not always a perfect SOP. So one thing we have to always, Blake, I know does this, I know I do this, is we're figuring stuff out for the organization for the first time in a lot of times. And like, my strength is contract reviews. I think you've seen that, Blake, but Blake has a lot of strengths when building networks within organizations. So we've collectively found what we're good at, and then we've adjusted our requirements, and we rely very heavily on each other. And I think, honestly, Blake and I run a little business, and we don't realize that it's like making invoices, managing books. If you want to know how to run a P&L, join YPP USA. Go up the chain. I promise you, we'll teach you how to run a P&L. Even though we're a non-for-profit, but we have to not have profit. And then leadership development, right? Like, you're gonna get presentations, speaking opportunities that I know I would have never otherwise gotten, right? And you get to sit on panels with people that have such tremendous experience, and when they hear you talk, they're gonna want to see how they can help you build that relationship again and help you push your career. So those two facilitation bullets right there, business experience and leadership development, I think should not be discounted at all. I think working with PODS, YPP USA has a tremendous opportunity to grow that as well. I remember I was at another organization's board meeting, and they were doing their taxes, and I had to stop and I said, these are amazingly done. These are immaculate taxes. I know I couldn't take those taxes and bring them to YPP USA, but guess what? I learned how a true set of books need to be done for a nonprofit that I can now help our treasurer run, because that's experience I never had. So what I'm trying to say is, you will learn all these things, and then all of a sudden when I go to work and I'm working with clients and I see the gaps in their P&L, all of a sudden I'm thinking, I know that's wrong. So you're leveraging what you learn in YPP and then bringing it to work. And then you'd be surprised how many times I have a client going, I didn't even consider depreciation that way, right? So it's simple stuff like that you will learn how to delegate tasks, how to take ownership on tasks, how to run a P&L, stuff like that. So That's where we are. We would love to see more engagement from our members, new members. Love to work with PODS to see what we can do to keep growing this.
I love
Yeah.
that, but you got to be careful. It's tax season. You're going to have a bunch of people now messaging you saying, you know, can you help me out on that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I should.
I
All
know, right? So Tori, you know, as having been a YPP member with things, does any of this resonate with you of what's being said and what you've been able to carry over to the workplace?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, all of the events, I mean, who doesn't like a networking event? Go hang out with people. I know you have to have time with people and time away from people. At least I do. And those networking events really fulfill that little space, and you can take all that information back home, and, as well as the training courses. And especially being in GIS, there's a lot of terms and things that I'm not necessarily familiar with, but the different conferences and different trainings and such can kind of help grow that knowledge.
No, that's huge. That's huge. So Kaushal, I know you had, you know, done a couple here, and, you know, we've got about 8 minutes left of what you're going. Can you take just a moment or two to kind of go over what this example is?
Absolutely. So I'll be very quick on this one. I want to respect everyone's time. We wanted to highlight just a personal example and a company example of what YPP has meant to them. We were very honored last year to have Toby Rice, President and CEO of EQT, speak as our keynote for the symposium. And if you go on our LinkedIn page, you'll see his video talking about this. This is scripted right out of there. But he said YPP is the next generation that's going to build the biggest green initiative on the planet, right? One thing we always forget is we are a good fuel pathway for making our economy more green, making sure we're well against net zero targets, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to keep talking down that line, but you know, I think people should embrace the fact that our industry, natural gas, pipelines, brings a lot to the table. And Toby said this cohort will build the biggest energy security blanket for the world. It's going to require a lot of work, digital skills, and tremendous amount of work, but he thinks that this is the right generation to take it on. I also want to kind of, you know, I think a lot of us here probably know Tyler, but, you know, I have seen Tyler grow within the ranks of YPP, right? He was part of my work group team, and I'm very proud that he became chair and has incredibly helped our organization over the years. But he helped rebrand, tripled our membership count, established, you know, that mentorship program we're talking about, and brought in Williams and a ton of other companies to help sponsor us so that we could become free for everyone to join. Reflecting back, you know, he brings a lot of passion, creativity, and personal involvement. That's what you're going to get, right? From our group, we're going to have tough conversations of how we can advance the industry, what we can do better. But I promise, as a member, as a partner, you'll look back at your time with YPP USA and say, that was incredible, right? I was surrounded by people who really cared about what they were doing and really wanted to make something happen. So with that, Deb, I'll hand back to you.
No, that's fantastic, and just a great summary of things. So Tori, bring it home back to PODS. What is PODS offering to young professionals as part of our relationship with YPP?
Yeah, so I think the key is that PODS and YPP are here to support you. Even if your company doesn't have PODS, we're here for you to learn about PODS and learn about maybe even GIS and how we can be supportive of your companies. And of course, free events. Who doesn't like free events? And we also have scholarship opportunities. So we're really excited about this partnership to bring more people into the fold in both organizations and really grow together.
No, thank you, because that extends to what's on plate, what's on deck right now.
Yeah.
So here's two amazing things going on that both organizations have. PODS, we have a spring forum and a fall forum every year. They are down in Houston. They are always wrapped in with a fantastic Esri event. So it's kind of like two events for one. But on Tuesday, April 23rd is our PODS Spring Forum. Go to pods.org, check out the Spring Forum page. We've got an agenda up, speakers. You get a great meal. And this is our invitation to you as a YPP member. Let us know that even if your company that you work for is not a PODS member, we'd love to have you. This is just, I mean, the networking is just off the charts and the learning that goes along with it. And then the YPP Symposium is coming up, and the theme is Embracing Innovation, the Energy Evolution. And that is also in Houston. common thread, right? Something's going on in Texas. And that's May 16th. And you can go to the YPP USA website, find out more information there, contact any of these wonderful people who are on the call today, and find out all that is going on. But yeah, just two organizations that are here for young professionals and seasoned professionals and how we can engage in the conversation together and supporting one another. So what's next? Bring it home, YPP. What are we looking at here? You got this, Kaushal?
You want to take it, Kaushal, or do you want me to get it?
I can't find the mute button. It was like hidden in the top corner. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we're all very diverse. We're beyond GIS professionals. As we were talking about this, there was one thing I really learned was that we have very low GIS participation. So PODS members join YPP, and PODS will make sure we send our membership to you, because I think PODS is more than a GIS opportunity. It's learning about everything related to how you keep accurate records. So we need to know that. Ask questions, get involved, join us, and please focus on the glue that keeps us together. I think PODS and YPP have a great mission together. We're going to do some incredible stuff, and knowledge transfer is key to the future. So all of us here, we're facilitating that. So please continue participating with us. And I need to get back to you, Deb.
Amazing.
Go on mute again.
All right. All right, here is the awesomeness. So PODS really tries to do a great job of keeping up with all that's going on. These are all locations where PODS is going to be there in some way, shape, or form. So whether Monique Roberts, our executive director, is there, whether we have a speaker, whether we have our whole booth. So take a screenshot of this right now, if you may. Head on over to pods.org and look at our events calendar. Everything is there. We try to keep up with making sure links so you can find more information to really be a hub of what's going on in conversations between our members. If you're a YPP member, we may or may not have access to kind of extra tickets along the way, but we can always introduce you to the organizer to see what might be possible if you're looking to participate in something. But yeah, as you know, in the pipeline safety industry, there is always something going on. So last but not least, thank you. Those of us on the panel here and everything that we've got going on, we could not be more thankful for everyone appearing today and being a part of it. This will be on YouTube. This will be on the PODS. This will be on LinkedIn, on YPP and PODS. But from me and PODS, the board of Tori and Tad, and then our awesome YPP guests of Blake and Kaushal,